Hello, it's Friday, August 23rd. It must be time for another legislative update from your North Carolina Medical Society. Here we are, we're in the impasse, but it's still very busy. The budget impasse may be sitting there, but we are the legislature is very active anyway.
Right. And very active on a lot of controversial topics. So you may have seen in the news a variety of different bills, including funeral home, ICE, farm bill that was very controversial. So they're moving forward with a lot of long meetings, I guess we should say. And
a lot of the stuff are topics that we told you about before, or topics that have been passed by another chamber or another forum that are coming back. So we're doing a lot of exchanging of the same ideas with some slight tweaks or things added together. But like I said, it's still a lot of movement out there. Yeah, not resolution, but movement. So here are the highlights from the medical side of things.
So first thing we want to point out is House Bill 555. So what the legislature decided this week is that they were going to start, or what it looks like, piecemealing provisions in the budget. And the first one that they're starting with is the Medicaid transformation funding. So a portion of that from the budget is now in this bill.
Right. So this includes all of the federal funding matches as well as the one-time money that was put in House Bill 966, the budget bill, that would allow for transformation to go forward. We are being told by DHHS that they are being told by CMS that without this money, they're not going to be allowed to go forward with the November 1 rollout in regions 2 and 4, right? So this is that kind of thing that is vital, right? We can't go forward without it.
So that's gone through Senate Healthcare this week and Senate Finance. So it still has to go through the floor, hopefully next week.
Yeah, and we think this is going to happen, questioning whether or not the governor would sign this, because if he's going to veto the budget, why is he going to sign pieces of the bill, pieces of the budget? I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he really wants transformation to go forward on time. I don't know. That one's really kind of iffy. But like Sue-Ann mentioned, we're kind of expecting now that this is going to be the first of a few of these that come out. So we would expect next week we might be telling you about an education.
And we've already seen one on correctional officers funding as well. So
some of the essential services that they're going to make sure that additional funding packages come forward, or options come forward.
Yep. So next bill we want to point out to you is House Bill 704, which is the Rural Health Stabilization. So this is the same bill that we've talked about several times. That was Senator Berger's idea as a way to do some funding for hospitals that are in a dire financial situation.
Yeah, and this one's been quite controversial. I mean, there have been a lot of questions about whether this was just for one hospital, whether this is really something that is worthwhile because it's a small amount of money for a hospital that's obviously or for any hospital that would qualify, would be in really deep financial situation. But the Senate especially seems very focused on making sure that this option is at least out there, right? That we provide something to see if we can stem the tide of losing all these rural hospitals. And they think this is one option that they can help provide from the legislative level.
Essentially the same bill, just now with a different bill number, bill title moving.
That's right. On to CON, we've seen House Bill 126 refused by the Senate and by the House to concur with that bill. So a lot of discussion, like we've been telling you for months now, about changes to certificate of need, but still no resolution. And this is one of those things where resolution could come on this or any of these bills that have have not been concurred to. They're naming conference committees to try to work out differences. So
which they have done already on this bill.
Right. And the conference committee could report at any time, and the outcome could just occur. This is not one of those things where we're likely to have another committee meeting to discuss it. If we see this again, it will just be the decision on what we're going to see about CON or some of these other topics.
So on the Senate side, they voted not to concur with the House's kind of healthcare omnibus bill that we had mentioned to you several times before, and that's Healthy NC that we've mentioned, I think, last week.
Right, and this includes a whole bunch of stuff like oral parity for chemo drugs, step therapy. It had CON in there at one time, a whole bunch of a whole bunch of stuff.
SIPAC,
Yes.
a healthcare study commission, so
Right.
Lupus Awareness Advisory Council, Lupus Awareness Month, so a whole host of
Right.
different issues in one bill.
Right. Normally would have been referred to probably as the last train to glory at the end of a session, but we don't think we're anywhere near the end of session at this point. So lots and lots of things to kind of to work out. One interesting thing outside of straight medical stuff this week, the speaker and the president pro tem had a press conference this week where they announced that the money that has been collected as a result of taxes but is not being spent as a result of the fact that we don't have a new budget, they would like to see revert back to you, the taxpayer. So interesting proposal.
We saw that in a bill this week. So the
Yes.
press conference noted a bill, and that's $250 for somebody filing jointly, and then up to $125 for someone filing single. Yeah.
Right. So not large checks, but it's one of those kind of returning the money back to you because they know they're not going to spend it because even they're taking into account the fact that it's kind of the first quarter of
Yeah.
collections, right? They're not just reverting back for the whole.
And trying to get that out by November, I
Yeah.
think is what's been announced.
Yeah. Again, highly questionable whether the governor would sign something like that, even if the Senate and the House
Agreed.
both agreed to do this. But it's more of the trading, the negotiation that is going on, really much more in a public light through public communications and public actions like this, rather than the behind-the-scenes negotiations that we're so used to seeing on so many things down the building.
So we're here for the long haul.
Yeah, we don't have any idea. We do start signing up for races for next year in December, so maybe we'll still be here when they are deciding whether or not they're going to run again. Who knows at this point?
I mean, that may impact that decision.
Maybe so. Maybe so. But until they leave, we'll keep bringing you these updates on a weekly basis. Remember, as always, if you want more detail about any of these topics, Sue Ann has updated the blog to include much more detail as well as links to all these bills so you can get as much in-depth information as you like to see. So go check out our website. And until then, we'll see you next week.